Hello everyone, Bella Malloy here, host of Seek Travel Ride, and welcome to another midweek mini episode where I'm sharing stories from you, our listeners who are out there taking bike adventures. These episodes are short and sweet, but are sure to keep your wanderlust fire stoked during the week. Maybe for those of you who can only take mini adventures on the weekend, or perhaps to give you ideas of places to adventure to. This week I'm going to be featuring listener and fan Javi, and he's going to be transporting us to Kyrgyzstan, letting us know what it's been like for him while he is there in the country riding around. And FYI, Javi is the partner of our awesome champion Rebecca Gross, first-time bikepacker. So he and Rebecca have been on the road now 4 months, and his insights into Kyrgyzstan while he's still there are awesome. I cannot wait to share them with you. I'm also going to be sharing a few updates from people that I have been keeping an eye out on and letting you know where they are up to in their adventures. And this week I also put the call out on my Instagram account, which is @SeekTravelRide. And I posed the question of what is a luxury item which you always pack along for your bike adventures? So I'm going to be sharing your answers to that as well. But before we get into the episode, I want to read out an awesome email that I got sent through. I'm actually not going to reveal who sent this to me, and you'll see why when I read the email out. But it goes like this. Hey Bella, I just wanted to reach out and say how much I enjoyed listening to your podcast. I only discovered it a few weeks ago, but have loved listening to so many great tales of adventure. I was listening to your interview with Kerry Belshaw, and I had a funny moment of recognition that I actually bumped into them both at the airport in Marrakesh while we were both in line waiting to buy SIM cards. We got chatting about our plans in Morocco. They told me about the bike adventures they'd planned, and I shared mine. We wished each other luck and we went on our separate ways. After my backpacking trip around Morocco, I found myself wondering how they had got on. So it was such a surprise to hear all about it on your podcast some 9 months later. After listening to it, I reached out to Kerry and we chatted about Morocco, and I mentioned that I had started planning my very own bike travel adventure. I'm still in the very early stages, but I've decided that next year I'm quitting my job, jumping on my bike and going to see the world. P.S. I've not told my work that I'm planning on leaving yet, so if you mention this on the pod, please don't mention my name just in case. Oh, listeners, I absolutely love this email, and you know who you are who sent it to me, so I will keep you all incognito there. But oh wow, what a moment of serendipity to be tuning into the pod and then hearing all about Kerry's adventures. And I love that you are now planning your own. You 100,000,000% need to keep in touch with me. Let me know when you get started and keep me updated. And who knows, maybe we can feature you as a guest of the show as well. That would be absolutely mega. Okay, now it's time to listen to Javi share what it's been like cycling all the way through Kyrgyzstan. Take it away, Javi.
Hello, my name's Javi. I'm Spanish, and 4 months ago, I left my comfortable life in the Austrian Alps to embark on a 1-year bikepacking adventure with my partner. Today, I would like to tell you what it is like to cycle in the country we are visiting right now, Kyrgyzstan. It was difficult to pick a country, and I almost chose Iran or Tajikistan because we are still not done with Kyrgyzstan, but I think this country fits a wider range of bikepackers and cyclists in general, for a number of reasons. Jaw-dropping landscapes, remote valleys, challenging mountain passes, a unique nomadic culture, and also a big variety of adventurers traveling around the country. The first thing we noticed when we entered Kyrgyzstan from Tajikistan over the Kizil Art Pass at almost 4,300 meters was that suddenly the mountains were much greener and there were horses and yurts everywhere, as if it was an artificial set for a cliched film about the Asian nomads. Of course, not all the countries like that anymore, but such scenery is still relatively easy to find when traveling around. Cycling around Kyrgyzstan means crossing many passes, not only to enter the country, but also to reach the next destination no matter where you're heading to. Mostly unpaved, those passes are often over 3,000 meters, which of course offers amazing views to those who climb them. And in contrast to some other countries in Central Asia where almost everyone follows the same 2-3 routes, here there are countless alternatives, and it's even difficult to choose one over the others. We had to find some balance between cycling on roads that can be found on Google Maps, crossing many passes and visiting loads of mountain lakes, and somehow moving more or less forward towards the next country. The cycling tourism has grown so much in the last years that you will likely meet other cyclists along the way, which is always great. Real adventurers who have been traveling for years and finally made their way to the big mountains in Central Asia, occasional cycling tourists who are spending a few weeks in the country, or bikepackers who just chose Kyrgyzstan to connect the west to the east. I love talking to all of them because they all have interesting stories to share about their trips or what they have visited in Kyrgyzstan. That doesn't happen in all countries, by the way. For example, we did not meet a single bikepacker during 2 months in Iraq and Iran, and these exchanges make the journey even better. Here we met people from all over the world, and we always stopped to talk to them, sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes for hours. One of them has even helped me today. My chain has been wearing rather quickly on these challenging routes, but I am at least 300 kilometers away from the next shop where I could find a 9-speed chain. A bikepacker I met a couple of weeks ago will buy a new one in a bigger city, and he will leave it in Karakol, a town I'm also visiting soon. That will save me from cycling a few hundred kilometers in the wrong direction just to buy a chain. That's also something you have to learn in Central Asia. You cannot just walk to the bike shop and buy what you need. There are not so many, and most of them only have very basic components. Instead, you will often have to be able to fix the issue by your own means. Don't forget your zip ties at home, or like in this case, build a small community to find a solution together. If you are looking for a challenge and solitude, that's also possible here. It's very common not to find any single village for days, even if you choose a well-known route, and sometimes you will only meet a couple of shepherds in the whole day. I also like short stays where you can just enjoy cycling and the route as if there were no one else on earth. If you're thinking, come on, this dude likes everything. Well, maybe you're right, I'm still fulfilling a dream with this journey, and I don't know how long it will last, but Kyrgyzstan is definitely keeping the dream alive. On the other hand, if that's too much loneliness for you, cities like Osh and Bishkek are full of cyclists to hang with. You might even end up traveling with some of them for days. By the way, I'm traveling with a very old bike. I don't know how old it is because it was found in a dumpster, but at least 20-30 years old. And it's okay to cycle with such bike in Kyrgyzstan. Don't let anyone tell you you need a super bike, like a state-of-the-art mountain bike. You don't need that. If you want to buy like the best bike ever, it's alright, but don't stay at home just because you don't have the perfect bike. But, of course, you will have to accept that you will have more technical issues than other people, and that one is not the only technical issue I have had, worn out chain. I have broken my rack. This is why the zip ties were very handy. And I had to cycle for a week almost with a broken rack until I found someone who could make a new part to connect the rack to the frame made of steel. And now it looks great. I don't know how it will last, but yeah, very cheap solution. And 1 week ago, one of my pedals broke and I was again in the middle of nowhere, because that always happens in the middle of nowhere. That won't happen in the capital city. That will happen when you are in a valley far away from any city. And something that also happens in Central Asia, you always find a solution that looks like a miracle, but it happens all the time. So in the end, you get used to miracles. I was in this very small town and I asked if someone could maybe drive to the next city and buy a pedal. And they said, well, you don't need that because we have pedals here. It was a very tiny shop, actually a hardware shop, not a bike shop. And they said, we don't have any bike parts but pedals. Pedals for kids, but they work. They are the same size, so I could install those kid pedals, and now my bike looks even worse, but I'm continuing the trip. Horses are by far the most common animal in Kyrgyzstan, but not the only one you will find here. 2 days ago, I saw a camel for the first time in my life in the wilderness, not in a zoo. And not a dromedary, the one with one hump, but the one with 2 humps, the real camel. And it's funny because I've been eating an ice cream for 2 weeks already, which has a camel drawn on the wrapper. And I thought it has nothing to do with the country or nothing to do with real camels. But now that I've seen some here, I'm curious about it, so next time I buy this ice cream, I will use Google Translate to check what it says about the camels. If you also like hiking like us, Kyrgyzstan has hundreds of amazing routes for a short break between cycling adventures. For example, we went to the Lenin Peak Base Camp, and I promise that if you go there, you will love it. We live in the mountains and we have visited some hiking paradises like Nepal, and the Kyrgyz mountains are not far behind. Not only because of the high altitude, but also because of the untouched nature that you can still find here, pristine lakes, wild rivers and huge glaciers. And another great thing about this country, camping is allowed almost everywhere, so feel free to choose one of those beautiful meadows by the river you will find along the way, or even talk to some locals and camp close to their yurt. Don't be surprised if they offer homemade yogurt the next morning though. By the way, the locals are very friendly and always willing to help. During the last weeks, we have received food from strangers almost every day who just wanted to welcome us, and they were all happy to have cyclists visiting their country. We are still halfway, and Kyrgyzstan is already one of our favorite countries for bikepacking so far. Believe me, if you are looking for your next cycling adventure, no matter if it is for a couple of weeks or 2 years, Kyrgyzstan will never be a wrong choice.
Javi, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. They really transported me right there to where you are. And listeners, Javi's also sent me some amazing images, which I will be sharing on our Instagram channel page. I've also included a link to his own Instagram channel, which is hacker.bikepacker. And you can see a few more images and the post on Kyrgyzstan there too. Where do I even start, Javi? First and foremost, the fact that you don't need the fanciest bike to take on the high mountain passes of Kyrgyzstan or even a 1-year bike adventure that you are on. The idea that you saved your bike from a dumpster, that it's 20 or 30 years old, and you're fixing the problems that you come up with along the way, and it's doing just fine. I love that concept. So many times I have listeners reach out to me and they're telling me about their thorough plans, all the equipment that they need to get together to get things going, how they're trying to get fit enough to get started. And I love that, and everybody adventures differently. And some people need to plan things in so much detail, and some people just go and figure things out. But I often think that sometimes we make up barriers to entry, and the idea that we need the most whiz-bang capable bike, indestructible, whereas really you just need a bike that's functioning and it will take you most places. So I absolutely loved that anecdote. The other thing is, I'd love to know whether the ice cream you're eating is actually made from camel's milk. There's a chance, right? Potentially, right? And then also that Kyrgyzstan has really become a massive bikepacking hub. I know that ultra-cycling events like the Silk Road Mountain Race have really put Kyrgyzstan front and centre on the adventure map. But to hear that it's a country that you have seen so many bike travellers through and doing all different types of journeys, but then also that it's not a case that you are all on the one road and sort of bumping into each other, that there's many different roads that you can take. And it sounds like you and Rebecca are definitely taking the adventure route and enjoying as much of that mountain paradise as possible. But I especially loved the idea that miracles happen quite often in Central Asia and that you will always find a way. Listeners, this is something that I have been told over and over again by all the guests I have interviewed that have gone to far-flung countries, been struck with some of the worst mechanicals, and yet these trail angels on the road help us out with a miracle fix, bodging up an equipment fix like, fixing a rear rack or putting a children's pedal on a bike to make it function. These are the sort of stories that I love hearing. And Javi, it sounds like you've already had some great experiences of this, not to mention the power of zip ties to fix a bike rack to get you to somewhere where you can get a better solution put together. And as you say, who knows how long that solution will hold for, but it will certainly get you to where the next miracle on the road will take you. I absolutely loved also hearing how getting into Kyrgyzstan, it was like this big transformation that even though you're at those ridiculously high elevation, there's a green and lushness about the country as well. And I've seen amazing images of Kyrgyzstan, never been there myself, but oh my gosh, it really is on my own bikepacking bucket list. And listeners, I wonder if it is for you as well. Thank you so much, Javi, for sharing your story. And listeners, remember, have a look in the podcast show notes and click on Javi's Instagram channel so that you can keep updated with his progress as well. Okay, now I'd like to give a few little adventure updates from people that I have featured on the podcast and let you know where they are up to. A few weeks ago, I featured Samuel Thompson, who is the touriste routier. He was taking on the monumental Tour de France Randonnée Challenge, which involved riding all the way around the perimeter of France. I think it was about 4,800 kilometres and 50,000 metres of elevation. Now, I had the extreme pleasure of actually sharing some of those kilometres on the road with Samuel when he came through my area of the Pyrenees. I met him early in the morning and it sort of blew my mind because he set off so early. He had already climbed the Col de Peyresourde, the Col de Aspen, and the infamous, most historic climb here in our area, the Col de Tourmalet. And he'd finished them all, and I met him at the base of the Tourmalet at 10 in the morning. But that was far from all the climbing done for Samuel. He still had to do the Col de Silor and the Col d'Aubisque, and he continued on many kilometres on from that as well. It was an absolute pleasure, Samuel, to meet you on the road, to take you some of your much-loved pastries. I even gave you some of my home-picked raspberries as well, which, listeners, raspberries don't travel so well. They were a little bit of a soggy, juicy mess, but Samuel made short work of them anyway. So I met Samuel when you left on Sunday. I met you on the Tuesday, and listeners, I can reveal that 12 days, 15 hours, and 5 minutes to be precise is all the time it took for Samuel to finish this challenge. It has been confirmed as the fastest known time. Samuel, you can be extremely proud of this. And listeners, you can keep your eyes out because I will be catching up with Samuel for a full-length feature episode to give us all the details of his journey. Thank you so much, Samuel, for sharing your stoke and adventure with us. It was a pleasure to dot watch you and share in some of the live commentary as well. The following week, I had the absolute pleasure of catching up with two podcast guests. The first was Marta Bayus, who I shared her story all at the start of this year. Marta spent a full year traveling all the way around South America, and I also got to meet her here on the roads in the Pyrenees as she was passing through. Absolute pleasure for me to see where she is now. And I'm super excited to share that Marta is also now sharing the stoke of bike adventures by actually conducting some bikepacking events herself. So I will put a link in the show notes to her Instagram channel at Marta's Way. And if you are after some amazing bikepacking events in Spain, I can thoroughly recommend joining Marta. My time spent riding with her was an absolute pleasure. So many laughs and smiles had, and I can only imagine what it would be like to spend a few days in her company on an amazing bikepacking adventure as well. Later on the same day, I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Claire Wyatt. Her handle on Instagram is Exploring by Bicycle. Fans of the show will know that I have featured Claire on this podcast no less than 4 times. And I got to spend 3 magical days with Claire riding in my home backyard here in the Pyrenees, showing her some amazing sights, climbing some mountains, going to a UNESCO World Heritage Site together, and more importantly, just laughing. And Claire is currently just in the UK. She started this adventure off in Mongolia. She is just days away from reaching her home now. And being able to share some time with her and hear more about her stories was an absolute gift to me. I feel there will likely be another podcast episode with Claire to come, so keep your eyes peeled on that as well. I'd also like to give a shout out to a couple of people that I have been watching on the gram, there on Instagram, and their adventures. The first one is Alice Terre. Alice is a Frenchie originally, but she lived in New Zealand for quite a long time, and she's taking some time out of her life to actually cycle all the way back to France. It has been an absolute pleasure to watch Alice's journey unfold. I especially love your food updates there, Alice, but also just the way that you share the realities of what it's like on the road. It's not all smooth sailing. Some days have been battling sickness. Some days you are battling extreme heat and humidity as you make your way through Central Asia. Anyway, listeners, I've put a link in the show notes to Alice's Instagram page so that you can check her out. And the other awesome female traveler that I have had the absolute pleasure to follow is Laura Bastioli. She goes under the handle of Basti on the Move on Instagram. And again, I've put a link in the show notes to her handle as well. Laura is currently making her way through Central Australia. I saw her take on the Mawson Trail and she's currently on the Oodnadatta track. She's joined by a few other bikepackers as well. She's had a mechanical that had her in one spot for a very long time, but she's all fixed and back on the road. And if you want to see some genuine adventure stories shared in a beautiful way, definitely check her out. Now, listeners, on my Instagram page, I posed the question of what is a luxury item that you always bring along with you on your own bike adventures? And I got some great responses, which I'm going to share with you now. The first one was from Cycling Fairy Tales, and he said he takes along a kendama, which is a Japanese toy. I'd never seen one of these before, and he sent me a video of it, and it looks like it's a skillful toy to have to manage, and I love that you've packed it away there on your bike adventures, Cycling Fairy Tales. I had All Ride Girl share that her luxury item is Mocha to Go, which is, as it sounds, it's a mocha pot coffee maker, especially designed for travel. I love that. In a similar frame, I had I Come Bike Home share that he has an Italian coffee maker as well as a hair trimmer. So he's keeping both caffeinated and his beard trimmed. I've had S_A_speed say a Kindle. And I also had Kindle as a response from Bunny Hops Aboard. So people are taking books with them, and I love that. Then I had Velo_Manuela. You take your laptop, and you take your laptop for route planning as well as being able to watch some YouTube and stuff like that sometimes. Conrad Kawara says, a casual Hawaiian shirt with my dog's face printed all over it, and I always take it with me. I absolutely love this, Conrad, and I got you to send me a photo of the shirt, and it is awesome, listeners. I absolutely love this. Laura_Grace said, a mini airbed pump. It saves the lungs after a long day in the mountains. Laura is currently adventuring in South America, listeners, and I've been enjoying following along her story. And I must say, I actually didn't know these mini airbed pumps existed. I had Lise JJ1, and you said a blow-up pillow because it helps me get a comfortable rest. Lise, I 100% agree with you. It's funny, I don't even see the blow-up pillow as a luxury item. It's just a must-have. So, but I'm there with you. I need a pillow for my head. I can't do sort of like just folded up clothes to be a pillow for me. I'm not that type of lightweight bikepacker. Christine Hengeler, you said skincare products and perfume. Oh, I'm with you there. And, you know, it's one of those things. Sometimes it's a little spray of a nice aromatic smell of perfume can really make you feel just that little bit more human, especially if you've been sweating away, not had a shower for a couple of days, and you've been bike traveling. To be able to have a shower and then just have a little hit of fragrance makes you feel just that little bit human again. And then I have had 3 people mention chairs. So P. Vesser, you said a chair, or isn't that luxury anymore? Oh, I'm with you. I'm definitely taking a chair. And then I had B_on_bike as well as MRC_LNPNSL. And you both said Helinox chairs. And can I just say, when I shared this post on Instagram, I had a picture of my AeroPress coffee maker, which to me is my luxury item. But perhaps I actually have 2 because my Helinox chair goes everywhere with me ever since I got it. I have the Helinox Chair Zero. It weighs barely anything. Like, I think it's under 500 grams. And it's the size of like a bike water bottle when it's packed down. And I remember when I first got it thinking, ooh, how comfortable is this going to be? Listeners, it has been absolutely transformative. If I'm going on an adventure, this chair comes along with me. I am sick and tired of having to finish a day sitting on the ground or in the dirt, and the little pleasure of being able to set up my Helinox chair and just sit in a chair when I finished at the end of the day at camp has been an absolute dream. If you haven't seen these chairs before, I have put a link in the show notes. I don't have a discount code for you, but if you click the link, you will be helping this podcaster out. So I definitely encourage you to do so. Yeah, I can't rave about my Helinox chair enough. So there we have it. They're all the responses so far. If I get any more come through, I will share them again next week. And in the meantime, I'd like you, the listeners, to let me know, what is your luxury item that you take along with you on your bike adventures as well? And this week, listeners, I have a shout out to you, my superfans, who have been absolute dead set legends and bought me a coffee and supported me here on the show. Firstly, I'd like to have a shout out to Neil Denovan, who says, I really enjoy your podcast, especially hearing about women solo cycling around the world and raising brave girls. Oh, Neil, thank you so much. This message has really filled me with joy because, as many of you listeners know, I especially like to champion the stories of women out there taking bike adventures. The more that I share about their adventures, the more I hope to inspire other women to do it, and to know that you've been tuning in and that you're raising brave girls to do this as well. And I guess maybe showing them that it doesn't necessarily take so much bravery to do this, but just showing that we can make adventuring for women normal. I think that's the message I'd like to share as well. But thank you so much for supporting me and the show. And then I also have Kate Thornton, who said, this is my favourite podcast, Bella. Bonus points for being an Aussie. Thank you for bringing all these incredible people and their experiences and insights to me. Oh, Kate, thank you. And yeah, I'm guessing that you're an Aussie as well. I love that you're tuning in and that you really love enjoying listening to the episodes here on the pod, and that you're fueling your own adventures to come as well. Thank you so much for supporting me on the pod. And listeners, if you would like to do as Neil Denovan and Kate Thornton have done and support this independent podcaster out, you can do so by heading to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me a few virtual coffees, but most importantly, leave me a message and let me know what is it that you love about the podcast and where is your next adventure going to take you. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening.